So how much do you really need to spend on Google Ads to see results? So in this video, I'm going to show you a simple way to calculate your budget with numbers that work for your business. So this works for local service providers, Google Ads beginners, or if you're currently advertising and not getting the results you want and you need to reassess your budget, then this video should help you. So common mistakes I see is assigning a random number and it doesn't have a clear goal or strategy. You'll see people recommend 10, 20, 50, $100 a day, but they don't know what the cost of anything is and they're just doing a random guess. And if you go in blind, then you're not going to get great results. The other thing is copying your competitors. So you don't know their unique profit margin. And so if you don't know their profit margin, you don't know the profit they're making and what their advertising costs can be. Like you might be spending twice as much as they are, or you might be spending half as much. You might not be spending enough to compete compared to your competitors because they've got bigger profit margins. And the other thing I see is seeing ads as a cost rather than an investment. They will take money out of your bank account, but they should always return it if you set it up right. And they should return it at least 5 times over. So you got to spend money to make money. And the other thing is missing metrics. So you got to know how many leads you need from your ad spend and how much those leads should be costing you. So working backwards from ROI, instead of thinking how much can I allocate to Google Ads, how much can I spend, you got to think about it on a per lead basis. So what am I willing to pay per lead? So your ad budget is how many leads you want multiplied by the cost per lead. And then you got to track the results to make sure that they match up. Because if they're a little bit over or a little bit under, then you can adjust it to improve your results and get more ROI. So the numbers you've got to understand are your customer value. You got to know how much on average money you get from a customer over the lifetime. So if you just do one service, then that's that service. But if you do lawn mowing maintenance, then you got to calculate how many months on average your customer will stay, and then you got to calculate it from that. Then you got to know your profit margin. So your profit margin should be at least $100 per job. If you have that amount of profit margin, then you should be fine with spending money with Google Ads to get those leads. If you're under $100 per job, then you'll probably need a cheaper way to get customers. Now, a good target for that is your profit should be 2 to 5 times more than your cost per lead. So for example, if you're spending $100 per lead, then you should be looking for at least $200 in profit. But ideally, you'd be looking from $500 to $1,000 profit for that job, because $100 per lead is an expensive lead. And the other thing is conversion rate. You got to know how many leads you need to get a customer. So if you have a 30% conversion rate, then you need 3 leads to get 1 paying customer. And then you got to calculate that into your budget as well. So if you're paying $100 per lead, but it takes you 5 leads to get a customer, then that's $500. So you got to have at least $500 profit margin in your jobs. Now, some typical lead costs for each industry. Now, you can see the ones with the higher competition are costing more. For example, legal services, that's super high competition. And because the cases are so expensive, they make so much money from them that they're happy to pay hundreds of dollars per lead, often up to $250 a lead. Now you can see the other ones like dental, retail, they got less competition, so the cost per click will be lower, which means that they'll be cheaper to get leads for. Your budget needs to be big enough to get data quickly, because if you're just spending $5 a day, then you're not going to be able to iterate your ads fast enough to get any substantial results. If you're spending $5 a day, it might take you 6 months to get any realistic data from your campaigns, and you've just wasted 6 months of your life. So it's better to spend more at the start so you can get data and learn faster. That's why I recommend at least $1,000 for small local campaigns. You can get away with less, like at least 300 to 500 would be the absolute minimum. But ideally, you should be aiming to spend enough money for one conversion a day. That'll keep giving you feedback and make sure you're getting money back from your ads as soon as possible. So if you want to know how much your leads are worth, you can use this calculator I've made. So you can put in your average price of your service. Let's say it's $2,000 and you want to get 1 lead a day. So that's 30 leads a month. And then your profit margin is how much profit you're getting without thinking about the advertising cost. So typically on average, it's about 30%. And same with closing rate as well. Typically from ads, a 30% closing rate is about normal. Now, it could be up to 50, 60, 70% if you've really got your system dialed in. But for the sake of the example, we'll keep it at standard, about 30%. Now, with this, you'll see that you're getting 9 new customers a month. So that's 30 leads times the 30% closing rate. So you get 9 customers. And then your total monthly revenue from those 9 customers will be $18,000. And then the profit from that will be $5,400. So your total monthly profit, $5,400, that's how much your 30 leads are worth. So that's $180 of profit per lead. So as long as your lead cost is below $180, then you're going to be profitable. If you're getting $180 of profit per lead, then I'd say anything up to $50 or $60 per lead is a good thing to aim for. Now, to scale up your budget, you should start with a reasonable budget, trying to get 1 conversion a day, and then that budget you can test with. So with that small test budget, you get it profitable, you fix up your ad copy and your landing pages, and then you get those profitable. And then once they're profitable, then you can start ramping the cost up. So you want to increase it about 20% per week. If you increase it more than that, then you might put your campaign into learning mode, which means that Google will start testing out all of the crazy variations again and forget all of the data that you've been learning with your test budget. Now, you got to watch your cost per lead and your ROAS as you scale it up. Now, as you scale up, you're going to see your cost per lead increase and your ROAS decrease. That's just because you're going to use up all of the good leads first, and then you're going to expand into less high intent keywords. So as long as your ROAS is still profitable, for example, you're spending $1 and getting $3 back, then you can keep scaling. When it gets down to about 2, then you should start looking into other methods. But as long as your ads are profitable, then you can still keep putting money in and you'll still keep getting money out. And then the steps to expand your budget. Once you hit a limit with something, then you can add new keywords, new locations, or new audiences. And then you just scale those up over time. So if you're ready to get started, check out the free lead calculator I made in the link below. Cheers.